guess this thing I had on here with who the manufacturers. Amanda, who made for your motherboard? What was the manufacturer for your CPU?
Intel.
Intel. Okay. So one of our manufacturers is Intel, and Brandon, who made yours?
ECS.
That's who made your motherboard. Who's your CPU socket for?
I think it was AMD.
Okay, so we got two manufacturers. We got Intel and AMD. Intel started in 1968. It's older. Used to make the stuff that goes in calculators. Okay, and then they started making memory in '69, and in 1971 they started making processors because Big Blue, IBM, got them into it. They said, here is what a processor looks like. Make me these. Okay? And Intel started making processors in 1971. And then IBM said, you know what? We can't just have you making them. We got to have somebody else, so you can't hold me over a barrel for pricing. So they said, you have to find somebody else to make processors too. And Intel then got AMD in the business of making processors. Intel started AMD making processors. That's why everything Intel did was before AMD.
So wait, so for, let's see, 11 years they controlled the price of whatever they wanted?
They are the only ones who made it.
So why didn't they bomb people? Like, make them outrageously priced?
They did. But they weren't for business. Nobody made it. There were no personal computers here. This was just business computers. This is when the IBM PC came into being, and that's when they said, when they started mass manufacturing them, said we needed the manufacturer. And Intel hired AMD to make them.
I'm saying, why did they do that?
Because they had to. Because IBM actually controlled the patent for the processors.
So IBM let it go for 11 years?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just
Answer.
I don't know why. I'm not trying. But the big thing is that Intel got AMD into the process of making processors.
I don't know if the business.
And here's the thing: they also broke the contract because IBM later said, you know what, that's okay. And they broke the contract with AMD, and AMD sued them and won $2.1 billion. So Intel helped finance AMD to an extent. Okay, now there's different socket types, and first of all, I guess we'll talk Intel. You guys are Intel? Yes. So what's the Intel socket called?
LGA.
LGA. Okay. LGA, and LGA stands for. Anybody remember what LGA stands for?
Let's Google it.
No, let's not. LGA stands for. Wow, first block had it right away. Land Grid Array.
I'm not Intel, so I would.
Okay, stands for Land Grid Array. And I want you to understand that even though you're not Intel, you're going to have to answer Intel questions on the Chapter 4 test. Okay? So Intel's the only one that makes LGA. And if you look on your book there, everybody's got a couple processors sitting right next to them. Close that up if you're not with this. You're against this.
I have one.
Okay, there should be 2 processors on each
I
desk.
have one. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
We'll have a problem.
that's the only one. Is it an LGA one?
Yeah.
Okay. The LGA one doesn't have pins. Wait, hold on. You're stealing my stuff. Okay. You just take the LGA one. I'm keeping this one first. Okay. So the LGA one's flat, has no pins. Okay. The other one that has pins, okay, this one has pins, and it's called a PGA. What do you think it stands for?
We don't have a PGA.
Yep.
Okay, this one, okay, let's stay with me. Travis, you're answering this question. Okay, here's the question. This one that's flat is called a land grid array. Okay, this one that has pins is PGA. What do you think PGA stands for?
Is it
How much louder can I say the word pin?
Pin.
Pin grid array, there we go. You know, it wasn't supposed to be hard. Okay.
Association.
So, land grid array is flat.
Yeah, I get it out.
Okay, it's flat, and the other ones with pins are called pin grid array. Okay.
They don't make those, do they?
Yes.
They still do?
All of the AMD ones are.
Oh,
PGA.
no, I thought you were talking about.
Intel does not make does not make PGA anymore. Okay. So the flat ones are LGA, and there's a whole bunch of different numbers. Can you give me any of them? I'm still with Intel here.
Dude, you just said one.
I just let you know the
You out of
difference.
time.
No. I'm just letting you know. I was talking sockets now. We're back to talking about Intel. Okay, so LGA. Can you guys give me any of the numbers?
775.
Okay,
1156.
775. What?
1156.
1156. There. What, you got any of the other ones?
1155.
That's right. 1155.
You're good, Chris.
1157.
No, we're just
54.
no. That's the size of one. Okay. My point is, there's a bunch of different kinds of LGA sockets. We're going to look at a socket list here in a minute. Okay. But there's a bunch of different ones. Why do you think Intel went to LGA with this flat?
Easier to use.
No, easier to use.
Quicker. They're quicker. Quicker.
Look at yours.
Then they have
Quicker.
What's wrong with yours?
Well, it's broke, just like-
Brandon's looking at a PGA socket. It's an Intel one. What's wrong with it?
broke.
Dude, that noise
Doesn't have
needs to
anything?
go away.
The pins are bent.
No, the pins are bent on this PGA one. It's totally useless. You will never ever get it in one. Okay, it's very tender.
You can't bend the back.
If you no, you can't. Okay. I mean, on some of them there's 1,156 dots. Okay, there's 940 on this one. That's a lot to get lined up exactly right. So Intel went to the LGA socket. Okay, so that's the one kind. The other kind, we already said, is from what manufacturer?
Andy.
AMD is the only one that's still making PGA. It's the only one that's still making PGA. Or Haley, or pin grid array ones. And what are the names of some of the sockets that AMD had? They're even easier to remember.
AM2 plus.
Did you guys have AMD?
I did. AM3 plus.
2,
FX.
2 plus, 3. Okay, those are easy to remember.
There's weird ones
Okay.
too.
Those are the processor types, not the socket.
Oh, I thought we were
Okay,
doing that now.
so the socket is AM2, AM2 plus.
Isn't there like weird ones too? The old
Yeah,
ones?
there are some. There's a whole bunch of other ones. We're gonna show you. Okay, so the AMD ones all look like this. They're all PGA. They have tons of pins on them, and they all work like this. Okay, sockets. The older PGA sockets are all like this one. Is everybody looking? Okay, they have a little lever arm. It comes up, and then the CPU just comes out. This is a really old AMD one. Okay, do you know, did I say what these are called? These kind of sockets are called? You just set them down, and they fall in the holes. See how easy it fell in there? With zero force. I didn't have to push it at all. Okay, and then you put down the lever, and it locks in place. Do you know what this socket is called?
They were broke, right?
Took zero force at all.
Zero force insertion.
So close. The right word's wrong word. And these are zip sockets.
Zero and force insertion.
And that stands for zero insertion
Is that motherboard broke?
force. Okay, it's a zip socket. Is it, could I still turn it on? No. Do I want you to destroy it? No.
No, I was only trying
You
to.
want- We can destroy
Yeah, I
it.
just don't want you to bend the pins.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, yeah. It's just the lever arm comes up and it comes out really easily. It just falls out as long as the pin. And these had less pins and the pins were bigger. The smaller, as the pins got smaller and smaller, and tighter, this became more and more fragile. Back then, on this one, you probably could have bent some of them back. Not that I want you to bend the pin. Okay? But you just have to line it up right. There's a little corner and it just falls right in. You held it down and it locks right down. Okay? That's a zip socket. On all the PGA ones work with zip sockets. Okay? So that's the socket. There's a difference between the socket and the processor. The socket's how it connects. But when you ask about Sempron and Athlon and Duron, that's the name of the processor itself. Okay, what kind of processor it has. Okay, now here's a picture of all the. This is on your site. On our Moodle class is a link on there, and this is all the sockets that we've evolved through, back from the first sockets when we started back in the 70s through the sockets today.